G'day, Big V listeners. We are with our Youth League 1 women here today, and we have gone with the offensive and defensive ratings. Now, this is a very interesting one because you look at offensive points per game and defensive points per game, and it's pretty much just the ladder from top to bottom, which is...
Yeah, they keep it pretty simple in Youth League 1. If you can score the ball and you can play some defense, you're going to get some big margins. I mean, you look at Eltham at the top of the ladder, they're offensively, they're getting over 80 points a game at 81, and defensively, they're holding teams to 50 points a game. So, and on average, they've got a 31-point win margin, Ted.
Yeah, you can't be mad about that. That's quite a deficit.
I think Scott Del Zoppo would be pretty stoked, and it'll be interesting as they sort of get to the back end of the season whether they can keep it all together and put together a strong finals run, which they probably haven't experienced in recent years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, they're just dominant. I think they're still the undefeated team. I still don't think they're
correct. No, and McKinnon almost got them a couple of weeks ago.
They did on the buzzer almost.
Yeah, and they got out of jail on that one to then take care of second place Camberwell. So I think it's they're 81 points a game. They play a pretty fast brand. Their bigs can all move. They don't have any slow. They're not looking to slow it down for their bigs to keep up. But Burrows sort of leads the way in that sort of rim running, giving him really good access to early touches down the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. Camberwell is sitting second quite comfortably, 76.1 points per game, holding teams to 51 points as well, which is quite decent. That's, again, quite a substantial margin. A team that probably keeps teams to one possession per game.
Yeah, definitely. With Smith and Killian and dominating those rebounds, they're certainly reducing opposition's access to the ball, and I think offensively, just re-adding Jacinta Lee, who's coming off an injury, is going to see their offense get back on track and continuing to improve.
Absolutely. And then you look, your way down the ladders, and it obviously does sort of start to drop off a little bit. You've got quite a few teams hovering around, 70 mark. You got a few teams high 60s. Then you work your way down, and you got, Sunbury, Warrandyte, Collingwood is probably the interesting one, who are currently 8th on the ladder. They're only averaging 56 points per game.
Yeah, they're Collingwood is the standout here because they're not scoring the ball well at all. But compared to some of those other teams at the bottom end of the list, they are showing that they can play some defense. So they're about middle of the road for defensively. So that's probably holding them in good stead to keep them 8th position and out of that sort of qualification day zone, which all the teams will be trying to work towards avoiding.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you look at it from a defensive perspective, Sunbury and Warrandyte 11th and 12th both giving up 80 points per game, which is interesting, like we discussed off camera or radio off air before. There's only one team that's averaging 80 points per game.
Yeah, so it's sort of, I guess the thing it highlights is teams are going on a scoring tear against these lower teams. And I think it's sort of, the Warrandyte one is sort of highlighted by Sunday's game against Camberwell, where I believe they might have hit the 100-point mark.
I think they did.
Which, when they only average 76 points a game, Warrandyte have got to find some little secrets in terms of trying to slow the game down and trying to slow down the amount of possessions other teams are getting.
Yeah, I've seen. I'm pretty sure we had a quadruple double in that game too.
Yeah, we probably should give her a shout out, shouldn't we? Young Caitlin Wallace was quite dominant in that game, getting a whopping 10 steals, which I think was the one which stood out the most for me.
And I think we discussed this before as well. It was the steal that was the last stat she needed.
Yeah,
something that's not easy to get.
No, you sort of it. I wasn't at the game and I haven't watched it back yet, but I imagine there was a fair bit of gambling going on in that fourth quarter, just trying to get the 10th steal and get that first quadruple double of the year. I haven't heard of too many across the whole Big V competition either.
No, absolutely not. Now, getting back to it, like we said, roles reversed. The ladder's pretty similar as you work your way towards the lower scoring end. Eltham holding teams to 50 points per game. So, first, second, third, fourth, they're all down the bottom. So it stands to reason as to why they are where they are and making that push for champ women.
Yeah, for sure. And you look at that, there's a big difference between the top three teams, Eltham, Campbell and Bulleen, all averaging between 50 and 52 points per game. Next best being 66 points per game, and that's McKinnon. So, it looks like that defensive element to Bulleen, Campbell and Eltham is sort of keeping them as the clear-cut top 3 teams at the moment, as it stands.
And that is a big difference. That's over 10 points per game. That's a big difference.
Yeah, so if that next sort of lot, McKinnon, Wyndham, if they want to make that jump, they've sort of got to find some secrets defensively to slow some of these teams down.
Absolutely. That'll be all for us today, guys. We'll catch you soon.